Pokémon UNITE is now out on the Nintendo Switch for free, and a lot of people are playing it and discovering which Pokemon they enjoy to use the most. However, the question is right now, which Pokemon in Pokémon UNITE are the best to use and which are the worst to use? We're going to be investigating further into this, so let's check it out. So this is one Pokémon UNITE tier list from a site called Ranked Boost. I'll make sure to link it in the description if you want to check it out fully. I just wanted to go over some of their decisions here to kind of give us a good idea of which Pokemon are the best and the worst in Pokémon UNITE. So they have their S tier, their A tier, etc, and then their F tier, of course, which we're mostly going to focus on the S and the A tiers, and then the F tier, of course. We're not really going to go for the middle stuff. We're going to check out which Pokemon are the absolute best to use and which ones are the worst. I'm also going to share my own thoughts, of course, so you may not necessarily agree with me, you may not agree with these lists you see in this video either. That's completely fine. These are just my own opinions, but I do think there is at least some accuracy to them. You won't be using any of these Pokemon and be disappointed, I doubt. So, definitely I agree that Zeraora belongs in the S tier. Zeraora is one of the most annoying Pokemon in Pokémon UNITE. It's definitely one of the absolute best Pokemon in Pokémon UNITE, and of course it was given as a free gift to everyone who's logged in during the game's launch. So basically everyone has it, meaning this Pokemon is super easy to access, it's everywhere, and yes, it is definitely one of the absolute best Pokemon in the game. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of using it. It doesn't really fit my kind of playstyle very much, but you know, it is a really good Pokemon. If you want something that is just going to do a ton of damage and just kill a load of people, I think Zeraora is one of the best Pokemon you can use in that regard. I'll definitely agree that Snorlax is probably, in my opinion, the best defender in the game. His shield is really fantastic. He is a pain to kill, such a pain. Though I also do find that with some of these others, for example, Slowbro is in tier A, so not too far behind, and Slowbro is another Pokemon that is ridiculously annoying to kill in this game. Eldegoss is one that personally I don't feel belongs in the S tier. There may be people who disagree with me, I'm sure it is an amazing defender, but when I've played against Eldegoss in this game, it's really not felt like anything very special. Maybe these just haven't been used by expert players, but I personally feel like Eldegoss is a bit down there. I'm not sure I agree that it belongs in the S tier, but of course everyone's going to have their own opinions. Kind of the same for Absol as well, being in the A tier. I'm not really sure I would consider it like any better than some of these other ones in the A tier. But again, I'm certain there's tons of people out there who think Absol is absolutely one of the best in the game. You know, everyone has their own preference, their own playstyle, so different Pokemon will work for different people. Of course, there are stats, so we kind of do have a good idea of, objectively in a way, which Pokemon are better than others. So, you know, this is definitely taking things from that as well, so that's important to keep in mind. Gengar, in my opinion, would belong in the S tier. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of people who really hate Gengar because he can be very annoying to take on with his really cool ranged attacks. I think Gengar is absolutely fantastic. Gengar, to me, is definitely the best special attacker in the game. Special attacks maybe aren't as ideal as the physical attacks, it seems like. I feel like a lot of people feel that way, but Gengar is definitely the best of the best when it comes to special attacks. I've seen lots of calls for people to actually nerf him because sometimes some of his moves, like especially the one where he pulls you in, can just be so annoying. I don't want them to nerf him because he's my main, so I might be a little bit biased, but I definitely think Gengar is the best special attacker you can use in this game. But if you have a different sort of thought on that, let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts. Now, scrolling down to the worst tiers, there's actually none in the F tier, which is really interesting to me, and I don't know if I would agree with that, personally. Now, in my opinion, Venusaur definitely belongs lower. Venusaur is a Pokemon that anytime I've seen it in a game, out of hundreds of games, it's always been terrible. You know, I've maybe seen one person who's done decent with it, and again, maybe I'm just not playing with the most skilled players in the world. You know, the game has only really just launched. But I definitely think Venusaur is one of the weakest choices in this game. I see a lot of people choose it just because they have the license for it, which is something I don't recommend doing. I really don't. Just because you get a license for something doesn't mean you have to use it, you know? But I also understand a lot of people just want to use their favorites. That's totally justified. but when it comes to playing this game more competitively, Venusaur I definitely think is one of the worst of Pokemon in this game. I'll agree that Crustle is really not good, and I personally would not put him in the C tier, an average choice. I think a lot of these are very generous. Crustle to me would be more like in the, I guess, D or E tier. I'm sure he's got his favorites out there, his stands, and I would actually place Wigglytuff a bit higher. I've seen a lot of people do very annoying things with Wigglytuff in this game. That doesn't necessarily make him the best Pokemon in the game, but if you can stay alive so long with a Wigglytuff that you're wasting people down and you're wasting their time and distracting them, I think he does belong a bit higher, and it does make him a much better Pokemon to use. Mr. Mime is another I'll agree, though I personally think he belongs in either the E or the F tier. Mr. Mime, to me, is probably the worst Pokemon in the game. I'm really not a huge fan of him. Seems like such a waste, personally. Mr. Mime was never going to be able to be good in this game. He's never really been good in any Pokemon game in any sense, you know? Even using him on your normal teams in a non-competitive setting, Mr. Mime has always kind of sucked. Sorry, Mr. Mime fans. So, personally, I don't think he belongs in the D tier, which is apparently below average, which, I mean, is true, but I definitely think that he belongs right at the bottom. Charizard is another one who, you know, I can go with E tier. I can go with E tier on Charizard. He's another that I just would not recommend using in any circumstance. A lot of people seem to have him, which makes sense, but again, I wouldn't bother. I really would not bother using Charizard. I'd be interested to see what Blastoise is like. I'm guessing he's not going to be amazing. I don't really know at the moment. I'm sure there's data mines that kind of go over this stuff, but we'll have to see exactly what Blastoise is like. So in terms of the best stats in the game, apparently Absol does actually have the best stats, which maybe I'm not giving Absol enough credit. I've personally not heard great things about Absol, but it does make sense that he has such high stats. Alolan Ninetales is another Pokemon who's really great, and to answer my question, it does look like Blastoise is a bit better than first thought, but he's definitely more on the defensive side, which is something a lot of people probably won't enjoy using. I think it's worth a try though. He could be one of the better defenders in the game, so maybe worth using him. We can also see a few other Pokemon here that aren't out yet. Gardevoir releases really soon, and it seems like quite a decent choice. They do kind of give you an indication of which Pokemon are really good and which ones are maybe not so good by, you know, their sort of ranking for them, like expert and intermediate, etc. But as you can see by the stats alone and the tier list, that doesn't always equal which Pokemon are really good and which Pokemon are really bad. There's also, you know, there's probably more Pokemon coming out in the coming months, which we'll see either be really, really good and have loads and loads of people want to use them. So I'm really curious to see how the meta for this game is going to change in the coming months. But this was definitely a really interesting tier list. I hope I was able to kind of add with my own thoughts on which Pokemon I feel like you should use and which ones you shouldn't. Of course, there are tons of tier lists online and people are going to have their own different opinions, but I hope you enjoyed my opinions. I'm definitely going to make more Pokemon Unite content if you want to see it. So if you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, leave a comment with your thoughts down below, and be sure to subscribe for more Nintendo content.